Welcome back, my Duelist friends, and happy Saturday. Casual Duelist here. And it's been a minute, so we're going to rant. So what am I going to rant about? I want to rant about Konami, and I don't want to rant about, like, what other games they tried to give us back in the day. You see, they tried to give us the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They teamed up with Upper Deck. That was back in the early years, like 02-ish to 04. They tried to give us the Blue Dragon RPG trading card game, which again was pretty cool. Who were they teamed up with then? They were teamed up with Viz Media. And again, this is like another whole Akira Toriyama deal. So this is one of the times Akira Toriyama dealt with Konami. And again, this was like this was the Turtles I sort of remember watching. And I don't even know how you play this, but we do have this. So maybe we'll open this at some point. But that's neither here nor there today. That's not what we were talking about. We were talking about things that we want to rant about with Konami. So as far as the Yu-Gi-Oh world goes. So I'm not even going to talk about cards that keep coming back off the ban list. I'm not even going to talk about cards with their lost arts and things that they didn't think that we could, deal with back in the day. Like, this Axe of Despair actually has a face on the axe. We're not going to talk about that either. Instead, let's talk about things Konami has given us and then absolutely gotten rid of. So first things first, I don't have any examples on the table for this, but the battle packs. Why did we stop at 3 series of battle packs, Konami? Literally, you gave us the ability to play a sealed draft format, and the packs were super cheap. It was a good source for some reprints. It was the closest the Egyptian God cards ever got to a common, seeing as it was just more of the technological foil or like a regular rare, but it was the battle pack regular rare, so the names were black instead of silver, and it was awesome. And you guys gave us 3 sets and dipped. Why? I don't know, but I miss it. I want that back. We just stop making cards that were generically good? Or was it just you weren't making enough money? And again, I get it's your business. You got to do what you got to do. I get that. I understand it. I respect it. But it's something I would have loved to have had. Again, if it had survived, if the packs weren't just super expensive right now, I would love to have that type of format here for this channel because that would be fun. Second, can we talk about these? You guys used to give us 3-pack legendary decks. I think we got like 4 series of this. The first one was 3 stages of Yukimoto. The next one was like Yugi, Kaiba, and Joey. And that may or may not have been the one where we got common print runs of the Atlantean Dragons, if I'm not too mistaken. Then there was this one, which was actually really cool. This was one of the best ones. You guys got the... we had Destiny Heroes. We had the... I just know I'm going to call them the Phantom Knights. I was going to say Rusty Bardyke. The Nordics were in here. And again, they got their link because of this. They got their links. Obviously, this was a great way to get that entire deck. We had the Legends of Dragon, or the Legendary Dragons. You had an entire Cyber Dragon build, which came with the Mega Fleet Dragon originally. We had, what was it, Odd Eyes was in there. I'm forgetting the other one. Maybe that's where the Atlanteans were. I thought they each got their own build. Either way, you guys stopped doing that too. And honestly, for $30, that was a heck of a value, guys. You were able to get 3 structure decks. And again, I mean, you'd normally buy 3 structure decks anyway. So what you would do is you just buy 3 of these. So because they were releasing 3 structure decks in one go, you'd buy 3 sets of it. Yeah, it's still $90. Maybe that puts it out of some people's price ranges. But it also gives you variety. So like maybe you and your 2 other friends each buy one. You all decide you like a different deck. You guys trade them around the table. So again, if this was the instance, let's pull this back up. If this was the instance and I was all about the Nordics, and my best friends were all about the Phantom Knights and or the Destiny Heroes, I'd look at them, I'd be like, look, let me give you the Destiny Heroes, let me give you the Phantom Knights, let me have the Nordics. And they might do the same back. And because of that, for the $30, we each found the deck we liked. Another big deal with these was it came with, I want to say these came with full 15 card extra decks, or they were darn close. So again, it was a great way to expand one's collection. Another box set that was like that I haven't seen but one time, we were given the Dual Devastator box. And the Dual Devastator, again, this could have been out of somebody's price range, because again, you'd think that somebody budgeting, $10 to go get one copy of a structure deck, sometimes that's a bit much too, because life happens. But it was like $40. It was like a 50, 60 card set, but they were all meta important cards. Not all of them were important at the time of print, but a lot of those cards were important. Like number 1, 6 of the Hand Trap Girls, including Ash Blossom, were in there. Effect Veiler was in there. DD Crow, I want to say, was in there. Another card that was like an impossible to understand at a quick glance, the Inspector Border was in there. I think we got some decent Xyz. I want to say we got the Tornado Dragons in there. I don't remember if Daigusta Emerald was part of that set or if he was part of another set. There were a couple good synchros, like Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Great card, good card. Anybody who's playing synchro can make 8s. I would really suggest playing it. I don't remember which Topologic card was in there. I don't remember if it was Bomber or if it was, it wasn't Gumball Dragon. I don't know, Zeraberos may have been in there. I want to say Bora Load Dragon was in there. Like, as far as spelled traps go, there were some amazing ones. There were ultra rares for, I want to say it was Super Poly. Cold by the Grave, I want to say was in there. Trap cards, I think we got Red Reboots. There could be only one, very important if you're playing one of a handful of decks. And it was a set. There was no guessing. It was, I pay $40 and I get this set. And it didn't take long before the Ash Blossoms were $20 a copy. So if you already had a set of Ash Blossoms, guys, you were able to buy the set for the 40, set on them, and then turn in the Ash Blossoms and recoup half your cash right away. So that was goofy, but we haven't been given another big reprint box. And that was something that made playing at the higher levels very attainable. And again, we haven't seen it, and why not? I mean, there's new hand traps that we can have in there. We could put in cards like Access Code Talker. Guys, that card is super expensive for no reason. I mean, obviously there's a reason. It's a great card. Don't take me at face value on that, but go ahead, read it, check it out. You guys will get it. But they could be giving us other cards too, for other formats. Because again, I do the Deck Master every Monday, every other Monday. And again, Spell Canceller and Jinzo were in there. Those are really, really cool Deck Masters. Vanity's Fiend was in there. It was just a really good set, and it was an excellent value, especially if you are a brand new player, you have some cash, and you want to find a good place to start. It was an excellent place to start. What else has Konami done? I've only got one example of this because of just how hard these are to find anymore. Guys, do you remember Dungeon Dice Monsters? Well, this is a character called the Thunderball. He's from the starter set. And again, this was just something they sort of added into the game to say well, we had this in the show. We had it in the manga. We needed some filler. We created a character named Duke Devlin. His whole game was he likes dice. What if we rolled dice, but all the dice just have symbols instead? You know what? Give me half a second. I may have some dice. Let me just video magic this. So guys, I went over to the table and I got the indeterminate dice jar. And if I still have any of these dice, it'll be in here. So let's just kind of, and we do. We've got, looks like just the one. So we're going to take all these others back off the field. So I don't know if you guys have your own little dice jars at home, but they're fun. So the dice that we were given had these little crest symbols, And the starter set came with a play map. It was a grid. You had 6 squares of either red or blue terrain. If you flipped it, it changed to denote whether it was me or my opponent's terrain. And then you were given a small abacus with about 3 characters or more. But the starter set was 3 each. And what you would do is you would roll these. And then if they were not summoning crests, like this is a movement crest and it doesn't have a multiplier, so you get 1, there would be a little slide abacus for you. And what you would do is you go ahead and you add 1 movement crest to your crest pool. And based on this and some stat cards, you'd be able to move these characters around your board and actually play. Now, summoning crests would always be stars. You needed 2 or more of the same level in order to get what you were going for. And then it was a superior summoning. So again, if I was able to roll 3 dice of the same crest and get like 3, like let's say they were 3 1-stars, then I would actually be able to superior summon a grade 2 character instead of just a grade 1. So again, you were able to do that based on whatever you wanted. And then I think this has a multiplier somewhere on it. Yeah, I'm not sure if this was the spell or the trap crest at this point, since it's been some years. But again, this has a multiplier ×2. So for this one, you would get to add 2 of that crest to your crest pool. Now, we were given, I don't even remember, it was only a handful of sets, really. And it didn't really take off here in the States. I want to say in Japan, it was a more fledged out game. And I think there are like 1 or 2 projects out there where they still sort of do something as far as generating characters. But there is an old Game Boy game, Game Boy Advance, I want to say. And if I can get my hands on it and you guys want to see it, I'd be more than happy to find the game and do what I'm doing with Master Duel and sort of play that on screen for you guys. But honestly, this was a great form. I loved it. It was great to have little characters. I had this thing called Crocosaurus. I had a Blue Eyes. I had a card for Exodia. I didn't exactly have the figure because it was, again, I bought a collection of cards off somebody for like $20. It was within the cards. They couldn't find the figure themselves. It is what it is. Would have loved to have had that. But right now I'm just down to this guy. And again, you guys might recognize him from a recent card opening, as Konami's been adding these cards into the main game. So again, you can play a Dimension Dice or Dungeon Dice deck, but it's a lot harder to actually play Dungeon Dice. If you guys know anybody who has a set and they want to be reasonable with the pricing, I would maybe like an email to talk about maybe acquiring that. Because again, it would look really great on my shelf, and big fan of it. But again, it was relatively dropped quickly. Another thing we only got for a small period of time, and you guys saw this when I was doing the D&D for Yu-Gi-Oh, was the Hero Clicks. Hero Clicks had a few sets. I think we only got like 1 or 2, maybe 3 sets altogether. And again, you had like a starter pack. You had different characters. I collected them. So you get a character, you get a stat card that'll tell you what kind of abilities they have within the Hero Clicks game, what the point value is as far as your character. And I do want to say that this is valued towards like your playing deck. And again, it's just like what kind of skills do they have? And then, of course, however you were actually meant to play it. I just sort of hung out and collected them. Because again, it was just a great way to get small figures. And for the people out there playing the Hero Clicks, this was really cool. It was another way to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of it. And again, I get why this one doesn't have as many sets. But it was different. It was cool. And this was put out by WizKids. So Konami with Wizards of the Coast, I think, as far as who's putting this one out. Which leads us to the last thing that we have for you guys today. Well, not really, but it is. So right here, I have a hand-painted box because I used to do fun stuff like this. And what we were given was another WizKids product. And it was called Dice Masters. Now, this had some cross-play. And as you guys can tell, we have quite a few many dice. Some of you may notice the art on some of the dice. You guys might remember them. This would, of course, be the Injection Fairy Lily. This blue right here should be Obelisk the Tormentor. I want to say maybe it's not. Can't remember what he looks like. It looks like I do have some DC or some Marvel still in here because that definitely looks like the Punisher. This should be like Summoned Skull. That should be Dark Magician Girl. There were dice for separate things as well as a core set of dice. And then what you did was you ended up playing with your character and your dice. Some of the dice would have very specific cards to go to them. So let's see if we could just find... Oh, there were way more dice in there than I was expecting, guys. So there we go. We got a Slife of the Sky Dragon. I remember that. Blue Eyes, of course. Very obvious. So the one I was looking for was just a Flame Swordsman. So we need to find out if this is the right Flame Swordsman. So in order to use this card for the Flame Swordsman, we would need to find die number 49. Wow, and we got lucky, so we have die 49. So this die is reflective of being this character. I don't remember how you play. At the start of the attack step, if your opponent has more monsters in the field than you, this gets 2 attack and plus 2 defense. I don't remember which was the level plus any of the other stuff. Like, it's been a minute since we played this, but this die here would absolutely correspond to this character. And when you were playing like the Marvel, the Avengers versus X-Men, whatever other sets there were, it wasn't exactly like that. But other cards you could get, Doom Caliber, Thousand Dragon, Mystical Elf. And again, as you can see, it would have their symbols on the cards. We would have a symbol for the Millennium Puzzle. Jinzo gets his own card. Blackluster Soldier, Dark Magician Girl. Ring of Magnetism being an equip card. The Summoned Skull, again, like I showed. Blue Eyes White, the Goblin Attack Force. Marshmallow gets a card. And Blade Knight according to this. Now, the 3 Egyptian God cards were in here. There was a rarity system of the plus and minuses. And I'm not sure. I think this was Harpy Lady. Supposed to be her wing. Let's see if we can get a focus. I really, really messed up by just spilling everything everywhere. But I am trying to figure if there was a way to tell like Obelisk apart from everybody, because we had, there's our Winged Dragon of Ra, definitely has our chicken's head. So we got Winged Dragon, we've got Slifer. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. That'll do. So then there's Obelisk as well. So you were able to get your 3 Egyptian God cards in this game, which was pretty fun, as well as a bunch of other fan favorites. But again, this was like a one set, one and done. And this was placed out back in like 2014. So this is almost 10 years old. It's 9 years old right now. This was placed out by Dice Masters, which again is a WizKids Wizards of the Coast pairing, as well as NECA. Sorry, I should show you that, NECA. And NECA put out one of the card games we've shown on the channel, which was our Nightmare Before Christmas. So again, pretty cool. They did sort of drop this. I'm going to just sort of take all of that off the field. But again, they just sort of dropped this. And the reason I bring this up and I say this wasn't our last thing is because it makes me worry about our other format. Our other format being the Elemental Heroes. I'm disappointed in myself. Let me keep going though. Our other format being Speed Duel, where we get to use skill cards. And of course, we get to use watermarked cards. Again, it's very hard to see the watermarks when you're dealing with these cards in sleeve. But again, they will be watermarked. Speed Duel down in the effect box. Very lightly, you'll see it. All but the initial run of cards will also say Speed Duel here in the card. The initial structure decks did not. It led to a controversy on the channel once upon a time. But again, one of the things that made me worry about Speed Duel in general was like we kind of skimped on Generation 1, in case you guys are curious. This deck was put together out of our secondary collection. This is going to be our new tester deck. So as long as you guys can slow this one down, I'm not going to go through and tell you every card. But this is what Celestial Duelist will be using moving forward, starting this weekend to give us some test footage of our weekly builds. So that said, guys, I'm not sure if we'll continue with Speed Duel. I don't see a reason why they would drop this, but they've dropped so many things. They've dropped entire other games that Konami was working on, whether that be through the the pairing with Upper Deck. They've dropped a lot of side games like this, the Dungeon Dice, the Hero Clicks. We've dropped formats where we had the ability to play draft format with the battle packs, where we were getting triple structure decks at a time. And again, when we were getting again, it was a one and done set. But again, the Duel Devastator would have loved to have seen a part 2 and 3 to that at least. At least give us a trilogy. And again, maybe they will, maybe they won't. They've changed a lot of stuff. Again, most of the time they do try to, keep it going for the better. You don't want to waste your money on product that people aren't going to buy. But it is cool to see the evolution of our game altogether. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This was kind of long. So again, I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys are going to have a great day. I hope that you guys take some time out for yourselves. Questions, comments down there, get them to me. I'll try to answer what I can. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I get to see you guys again next time, all right? See you later.